Morning, everyone. This is Sean Butner with Start Your Morning and Week with the Coach. This is the Friday show where we get geared up for next week. It goes on the newsletter. So I just wanted to talk to you today about this topic called the sum of all your experiences. So I had recently been working on some new business processes and remembered that I had a past career in technology, so I've been building some tools for myself, and I thought this might be a really good thing to talk about looking back because, so many times it's the, unique perspective that we can bring from our own unique career paths, our own unique upbringing, our own unique perspectives, and things that happen to us growing up that really can be our superpower. And it could be your superpower too if you are aware of it or if you connect more and try to pull more lessons from it. So, a couple of things that I've seen out in the world is, when I joined Apple, probably, it was 8 years ago when that all started. Seems crazy. What I noticed is in the group that I got hired into, it wasn't all people that were purely computer science folks. It was musicians, it was artists, filmmakers, people that had these different perspectives that really brought a lot to the product design, to how to maintain it, how people used it. And I think that was part of the superpower in, at Apple. But a lot of tech companies, I think, also have that perspective. How can you bring a more holistic view of someone who's not just purely an engineer, but has outside interests that they can then cross-pollinate ideas. So I was also recently reading an article that said that people that can learn languages are more apt at software engineering than people that are in purely STEM, which I thought was interesting, and I haven't looked at the research, but I think intuitively, if you think of software programming as its own language, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think personally, growing up, people that can think logically and think how computers work tend to do better than people that are full of themselves, think they know how everything works. Part of that's experience, and part of that is just being, very logical in how you approach your code. So with all that said, first off, welcome. Say hi if you're here for the first time, where you're from. I see that you're here, Dave. What's going on, man? Thanks for being on the show. So anyways, all this to say that, I've been building some quick scripts and stuff to help, automate some of the processes I'm doing in my business right now. And so what could you be doing that brings some of that knowledge that you've learned in other careers, other hobbies? A couple of things that, that come to mind for me, other than software, is, trying to train for a marathon teaches you a lot about persistence, about managing expectations, about mental fortitude, that I think is really important. That slow and steady does win the race. I think, music in a lot of ways for me, and for a lot of people, was a reason for me to get out of being shy and getting up in front of people, even if I was terrible at it, to sing and perform. But it also, kind of works a different area of your brain where, you start seeing rhythms and things. And I won't go too much into that. It seems kind of strange. But, so what are areas of your life that you can, were really positive, that you were successful, that you could bring into other parts of your life, So, 3 things to really kind of kick off the week to have you think about is to, one, trust in your path. It requires a little bit of faith, but sometimes when you're well, I went to school for literature and now I'm in finance, or I had a career in finance for a while and now I'm going to open a restaurant. They seem really disconnected, but looking back, there's going to be a moment in your life, and I really do firmly believe that you'll look back and be like, oh, this all led to why this is great now. I think Steve Jobs had his Stanford commencement speech that talks about looking back and connecting the dots, and seemingly, for him, calligraphy ended up being the whole fonts thing that Apple did, that made them pretty popular in the 80s, I think. Don't quote me on the history, guys. It's still early in the morning. So, second thing is, as you're moving forward, as you're trying different things, as you're getting into different fields or different hobbies, like, just have a healthy dose of optimism, right? Part of the fun of saying, like, okay, I was in software engineering, now I own a business. Like, how can I, like, the creative things, I can figure this out, and how can I apply, like, lessons from all that stuff to what I'm doing now? And you can figure it out. That's the thing. Like, you can figure this out. And you kind of just have to, not get stuck in, like, oh, I'm never going to use the years and years and years I studied, like, business in my medical career. I don't know. I'm just pulling at straws here, folks. It's a live show, if you can't tell, on a Friday. So, yeah. Third big idea that I already kind of mentioned, but, make sure you take the best lessons that you've learned, or if you've had defining moments in, stories about your family, stories about hobbies, stories about work, stories about how you got into health in your best, shape, and, what really worked for you there, and how can you apply it to what you're doing now? Again, like, trying to think a little bit more holistically. And then finally, like, who needs you to perform at your best right now? Kind of thinking, like, one, it shows resiliency. So who do you need to be resilient for right now? It shows, creativity. It can be inspiration, and inspirational to see people figure stuff out like that. So, who are you role modeling for? Or who needs you to be on your game? So, that said, guys, hope you enjoyed this Friday show. We'll get back to you next Monday. Again, the three things are just trust in your path, have a healthy optimism, and, take your best lessons and apply them to all different areas of your life. Because, again, your superpower is your experience, the sum of your experience. And either you're tapping into that, you could tap into that more, to see that unique voice come out to really make a change in what you're doing in the world, having a greater impact. Or if you haven't thought about it, it's a huge opportunity for you to level up. So hope you found this awesome, and I'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.